So the conversation today really is about the future, and I'm firmly embedded in creating a future that's green and sustainable. And the conversations that we have today are about delivering that future through a few methodologies that I'm going to say aren't going to work in the long run. And what the conversation is for is to have you think about how you and I are trying to generate a sustainable future and rethink it. Not do something different, or we need to find a new solution that's having something we don't currently have or doing something we don't currently do. But the conversation is for you to think in a way you don't currently think. Okay, and that's what I'm arguing is what's missing in the entire green space, is we are not thinking differently about the future. I want to begin with an ancient Sufi parable, okay, and it kind of lays out what the next 25 minutes or 30 minutes of conversation is about. So imagine that there's a man walking down the street, and it's at night, and he runs into another man on his hands and knees looking under a street lamp. So the stranger runs into the man looking under a street lamp, and he says, "Can I help you look?" And he says, "Yeah, I lost my keys here." So the guy gets down, helps the guy try and find his keys under the street light, and in about a minute he realizes there's no keys here. So he says to the guy, "Are you sure you lost your keys here?" And the guy says, "Oh, no." And he keeps looking, and he just points behind him. He goes, "Oh, no, I lost them in my house." And he looks in his house, and it's all, the lights are out. He goes, "Yeah, but my house is dark, and this is where the light is. That's why I'm looking here." Right? And the absurdity of it, it's absurd. What I want to use that metaphor for is that we are looking under the street light. Okay? And the street light is what is known and what is familiar. It's where we've always looked, and it's where we've always tried to deliver a change from, make a difference with, is what we know is under the light. And all we do is regurgitate and recombine what we know and call it innovation. And I'm not saying there aren't true game-changing innovations in the world, but most things we are trying to bring to the table are not innovation. They're a recombination of all that we already see. And where the answers lies in the dark beyond the periphery of the light. And we're scared to death to go there, as governments, as nations, as people. And it's not going to work unless somebody has the courage to go beyond the light. And some do, just not enough and not fast enough. One of the solutions that people continue to entertain to the future is that government needs to deal with it. Policies need to change to deal with it, right? They need to invent new technology to deal with it, right? I'm not saying that's your conversation, but that's a historical and predictable societal conversation, isn't it? They, whoever they are, right? The infamous theys, need to deal with it. So the question is, what is the it that they need to deal with? So I want to just get to the real, some real numbers about the it that we're trying to deal with in the green space to shift the future. So so I'm going to inundate you with a couple figures here, well, more than a couple figures, and it's going to be quick and painless. I'm not an engineer, so, there's no spreadsheets on here, but there are some data points that need to be really present so that you and I are on the same page roughly when we're talking about the it that needs to shift. So 2009, the world produced and consumed 84.4 million barrels of oil per day. 1,000 barrels of oil per second were consumed as an energy demand. So I'm not pointing to, the evil oil companies. That's a different conversation. I'm pointing to the demand the world requires to run itself. Okay, and that's just oil, by the way. So if we convert that, staggering amount to watt hours, which, I'm not to spend a lot of time on the math, 52.4 quadrillion watt hours of energy were required just through oil to run the globe. So this is the it. This starts to talk about the it that we're dealing with. It starts to move it out of some esoteric conversation to get real. Now, the conversation is, what do you replace it with? So take a look at some of the possible technologies as solutions to replace that enormous demand, that quadrillion demand. More than 6,800 nuclear reactors would be required. The U.S. currently has 104. Okay? That's what we're dealing with as an it. 17 million, 17 million new 1 megawatt wind turbines. 13 million acres of south-facing roof and acres of land covered with photovoltaics. More than 16 billion acres of farmland converted entirely to soybean biofuel production, representing a 135% increase in productivity. This is literally what would need to happen currently to replace that energy demand that's supplied by oil. Okay? And, I could be out, this is, somebody's figures, right? But I could be out a bit here. But you get the picture. The it is a big it that we're contending with. That to get the gravity of that it is to have to rethink. No one of these solutions on its own are going to cut it, much less all of them together. Put simply, diagrammatically, 1 cubic mile of oil, the energy supplied in 1 cubic mile of oil would require 32,850 wind turbines, 104 coal-fired plants, 4 Georges dams, 52 nuclear power plants, 91,250,000 photovoltaic modules run for 50 years. All of them run for 50 years to supply 1 cubic mile of oil per year. That is impossible as it stands. So I'm not saying that these technologies and where we're looking won't make a difference. The difference they will make is a hill of beans. So something needs to get seriously reinvented here. That's the end of the data stream. One more data slide later. But I wanted to just get it grounded for you, what we're actually contending with in reality versus some kind of theoretical conversation. What we deal with is fundamentally shifting the conversation of thinking, not finding some better version of what we already got or more of what we already got, because the way the world is changing is outstripping modifying and tinkering with what we already got. We need something completely new. And I'm saying where we're looking in the light, one of the places is not technology. And I sit on the Renewable Energy Task Force for the City of Edmonton, and I'm all over that because that's what we have to do right now, and that won't solve it unless that's inside of some bigger context of change. It will be a drop in the ocean against the 1 cubic mile of oil we use per year. So here's one way to say what we're doing. Technology will save the planet is like saying, ready? A baby will save our marriage. It's like that. We're not going to deal with the marriage. We'll just make a baby. And a good one. That's shiny and collects solar rays. And when it pees, it can fuel something. Right? And that's what's available, and let's pursue it. I live in a house that operates off of co-generated energy. So I'm using a technology, right, that's an energy-efficient technology, and that's what's available to me. But, ultimately, it's the thinking that's got to change, right? There's a lot of technology available. It's just not being used because the thinking's stuck. Water is one of the most scarce resources on the planet right now. I don't know what the stats are. How many children die of not having sanitary water every year? There is an $8 billion solution worldwide that could be implemented right now. It's called the Life Bottle, right? Anybody heard about it? Go Google it on TED, right? $8 billion will solve that problem right now. Technology, simple, easy, not getting used. Why not? The thinking's stuck. What do we need? A bigger, better bottle? No. The thinking's stuck. So I want to shift gears in the conversation. When I say the thinking's stuck, what's stuck about it? And I'm pointing to a kind of thinking that's not their thinking. The evil they? They're not stuck. You and I are stuck. Okay, because we are them, right? It just so happens they get paid for a different job, but we are them. So I want to presence a certain level of humanity that's in the room right now, and that's at the level of decision making that is equally shared amongst all of us. That's a stuckness we share as humans. Unless we deal with it, no amount of technology will make a difference because it gets listened to by somebody who's stuck. And the bottleneck's the stuckness of the thinking. What's this picture of? What's this baby trying to do? Walk. Okay, that would be the obvious answer. So consider that's one possibility. Another possibility is this baby is not trying to walk. This baby's simply trying not to fall. What's the difference? All the difference. This is where people are stuck. If this baby, just consider, it's not the truth, who knows, maybe he is trying to walk, but if this baby is simply trying not to fall, right? Now he's interested in walking, right? See, we're interested in sustainability. We're very interested in it. Okay, just like this baby's interested in walking, right? And I'll have to say, the inevitable future for us is we have to get sustainable. You know, in permaculture, they call it a type 1 error, right? You pollute more than you can sustain, and over time you will die, right? So it's a type 1 error. So at some point, don't worry, the planet will readjust us. It could care less about what we blow up. It'll keep spinning until we're all dead, and then a bunch of new one of us will evolve in a few billion years. Our plight is irrelevant to the planet. It will go on. At some level, we'll get readjusted. Okay, but this baby, so the future for us is inevitably to be sustainable. The inevitable future for this baby is to walk. But the future occurs for this baby as scary. See, walking as an inevitable future is terrifying for this baby. Hence, he's not trying to walk, he's simply trying not to fall. Because the inevitable future of walking is terrifying. I don't want to do that. I'll simply try not to fall for a while. All the while being very interested in walking. Just like us. You know, having a sustainable planet is very interesting. All the while trying to X still. And the question is, what's the X we're trying to do still? While walking is the future that's inevitable and must happen. Right? It's like succession planning was inevitable, wasn't it? Where you work? Like, it wasn't like succession planning showed up yesterday. Oh my God, the baby boomers are going to go away. Oh, where's the memo? Right? 50 years ago, the baby boomers are going to go away. We just clung to what we were clinging to, all the while knowing the inevitable future is baby boomers will go away. Now we're hooped. Do you get human design? How weird we are? Okay, so consider this baby is trying not to fall. And inside of trying not to fall, the future of walking must occur as a fear or a risk. Okay? And if the thinking for that baby is that the future occurs as a fear or a risk, that baby will hang on to something, right? Because the future is too scary to let go of something, so it hangs on to something. So the question is, what does it hang on to? Well, look at this picture. What's this baby literally hanging on to? He's hanging on to the wall. He's hanging on to a past given by crawling. And all he's doing with his interest in walking is crawling upright. See, all fours are touching something, just not the floor. So he's bringing his past called crawling into an inevitable future called walking, clinging to his past. See, that's what we're doing. We're clinging to our past, all the while interested in something different. But you're designed not to let go. Okay? So, this baby will not fall. Okay, because what is he interested in? Trying not to fall. So he's not going to fall. He will fulfill on that. At the same time, he won't walk. At least not for a while. Most babies walk between, 9 and 15 months. So he'll walk in that range when somewhere he decides to let go of crawling. Until then, he won't walk. And it'll have nothing to do with his physiology. Okay, and that's the same for human beings. So he'll survive walking. Okay, so consider this other baby. Okay, I have a 2 and a 5-year-old, and They look kind of the same, okay? But except this is a 6-month-old. This is Xavier King. He was born in the UK, and there is roughly 700,000 babies in the UK born a year. Of the 700,000 babies born a year in the UK, a handful learn to walk, under 9 months. Xavier King was one of those, and this is a picture of him walking at 6 months. Okay, so he walked at 6 months, and there's nothing physiologically distinct about Xavier King than the last baby. So what's the difference? Xavier King was interested in walking. He wasn't interested in not falling and just trying to not fall better. Okay, it's a lesson for us around the future. He embraced the future called, let me step into it. And that's because the future occurred for him as an opportunity for his aliveness to get expressed. Okay? He was open and alive to the future. It didn't occur as a fear or a risk. And as a consequence of that experience of the very same future the last baby had, he let go, literally, figuratively, and literally let go of a past given by crawling. And this is a picture of him in motion going from one place to another. Look at his face. He's alive. He doesn't know what the heck he's doing. Okay? But how many leaders in the world do that? They deal with not knowing. See, anything you know is just going to give what you know. Anything new comes from not knowing. Yet we deliver the future from knowing. That's no future that's new. Okay, so what will happen for him is he'll fall and fall and fall because he's interested in walking, not falling. And of course he'll walk as a function of his interest being over where walking is. In other words, Xavier King created walking. It's not something to be survived. So currently you and I are surviving the future of sustainability. We're not creating it. We're hanging on to whatever we're hanging on to. We'll compost better. Whatever that measure that you're doing is, right? What that I'm doing is some version of that. They're just two different worlds, okay? Surviving the future and creating the future. Okay, no matter how much a baby tries not to fall, it'll never catch a baby that actually tries to walk. And that goes for nations. There are some nations doing sustainability, and we will never catch them, ever. Because their thinking is so radically different from us. Doesn't matter what technology we use. It's not the technology that sets them apart from us. They think different, right? And doesn't matter if what we do, district heating, photovoltaics, feed-in tariffs, it won't matter until we think differently. That thing will wither on the vine of our thinking. Modifying what we already have, trying to make it better or different yesterday is surviving. So what I'm pointing to is we're making a better and different yesterday. Creating is fundamentally different. It arises from a future that has not happened yet. Okay? Creating brings something literally new into existence. Creating is a game changer. It is not a better yesterday. So confusing game-changing creations from tinkering with yesterday is the folly of mankind. Walking is a game changer. It's not a better crawling. See how that's a game changer? Riding a bike's a game changer. It's not a different kind of walking. Balance is a game changer, right? Balance is not better, not balance. Your body made you fall. No matter what you did, you had to fall. One day you got balance and your body supported anything but falling. That's a game changer. No doing, it's just a way of being, right? Leaving home is a game changer, not a different kind of living at home, right? Having your heart broken is a game changer. It's not a different kind of sad. Okay? And it's such a game changer, some of your mates are impacted by when your heart got broken, they're living with it. Okay, or vice versa. Having sex is a game changer. It's not a better kind of holding hands. Okay? I hope not for you, or your heart will get broken. Okay, pregnant is a game changer. It's not a better kind of not pregnant, right? Birth is a game changer. Death is a game changer, like that. So innovation, I'm going to say, is collapsed with better yesterday. Here's Webster's definition. The introduction of something new. Perfect so far. Now that would be an innovation. However, Webster goes on to define something new as through technology and innovation, they found ways to get better results with less work. Well, better and less of what? Better and less of what we already have, not anything new. So we're tinkering with the past, is what Webster defines as innovation. That's not innovation. Okay? Making a better car will not get us to the moon. Right? We're just tinkering with what we got. Better yesterday. The Maginot Line is depicted here. Okay? The Maginot Line was France's answer to World War I so that Germany didn't take them over again. Okay? The Maginot Line was built against horse warfare, men on foot. Right? And what they created in the Maginot Line, which was a set of armaments on the French border with Germany, was a set of armaments against a pass-based war. Even though they knew mechanization, machines, wheels, airplanes were already in play, they built something for a future of warfare against their past experience of warfare. World War II came along, the Germans went through, over, obliterated, the Maginot Line and took over France one more time. Because the way they tried to deliver the future was from some past experience. They tried to make a better yesterday rather than deal with the future. So in other words, people survive the future. So how are we surviving the future? Going back to what we're trying to do with sustainability. 1.22 cubic miles of oil per year we consume. 240 billion cubic feet of natural gas. 23 trillion cubic feet in the U.S. alone last year. 7,192 million tons of coal, 500,000 pounds of uranium, not sure about the hydro. In other words, to reduce it to one denominator, roughly 3 cubic miles of oil a year get consumed. 500 quadrillion British thermal units. Now, I showed you a slide earlier against one cubic mile of oil. This is all the energies add up to 3 cubic miles of equivalent cubic oil. Triple the numbers I gave you. It's not going to get done, right? Unless something fundamentally alters. So Marshall McLuhan, one of the most famous Canadians we've ever produced, says, we see the world through a rearview mirror. We march backwards into the future. 1968, he quoted that. And nothing's changed. Better yesterday. All right, so the opportunity is to fundamentally sever our relationship to the future as something that which you and I need to survive, and create it as something to be created, stepped into, right? Truly created. We don't have time to tinker with yesterday, literally. So I want to give you just some positive examples of game changers that, they don't have to be, massive game changers. Washing hands was a game changer. Right? Somebody just said, we need to wash some hands here. And it started to save lives. What did it change? It changed your relationship you had to staying alive. Okay, just a game changer. It's a way of thinking. No new technology there. Synthetic biology is going to transform your life. It is transforming it now. Right? When 10 years from now, when somebody hands you a synthetic bladder, has been produced in Boston, or the first synthetic throat produced in situ, right? It'll change the game of things. But I'm not pointing to the technology. It's the thinking that allowed the technology to emerge as a game changer. The technology itself isn't the game changer. It was somebody shifted how they thought about life. Not about making a better X. And that allowed for this to emerge. Google's a game changer. You change your relationship to information. And because they changed your relationship to information, they created a new future that they never expected. The first driverless car, I'm not sure how the vote went last year in Nevada, but the first driverless car in the world has been produced and test driven for 1,000 kilometers with no human intervention. In downtown San Francisco, for 1,000 miles, this car is driven without human intervention. Right? No human beings in the car. That's a game changer because of the first game changer. Why? Because the thinking shifted. Okay? But don't worry, the driverless car will be resisted because of somebody else's stuck thinking. See, stuck thinking is the bottleneck, not the technology. We don't need better technology. The thinking's got to get unstuck. And there's tons of corporations and organizations that are stuck. They're trying to solve their stuckness from getting more stuff, better stuff, and it'll be used in the same stuck thinking. Great. Okay, Interface, I want to, wrap it up with Interface, which is, one of the, flagship companies that got unstuck. So, Interface, really quickly, asked the question, what is wanted in the future that would make a difference that we could play a role in? That we currently don't. Right? They didn't pretend they had it going on and they just need to make a better what they had. They said, what's the future want that we don't do? That takes courage. See, we're not going from good to great. We're saying very straightly, we're not doing what's necessary. And I need to get with the program. How many corporate government leaders have the courage to say that? And how many people support them saying that? Very few. That's why they don't say it. Well, Ray Anderson said it, CEO of Interface. And as they answered that question seriously, they said, the future wants our company to redefine our environmental stewardship. That's what the future wants from Ray Anderson, doesn't it? That's not what he wants. That's not what his consumers want. The world, the planet demands that that's who he grows up to be now. Right? As he called it, a spear in the chest moment for him. So the next thing that Interface did was wildly paint the picture of what that future would look like. And in doing that, they painted what it would look like and when it would get done. And amongst other things, they decided eliminate any negative impact Interface has on the environment by 2020. Like any. That's ludicrous for the world's largest floor covering manufacturer at where they stood at that time with their waste to deliver that promise. And they still made it. They had the courage to make that still. So then the next thing is, what kind of people would we have to be to actually create that? Because we're not that now. Who we are now got us where we are. So I can't keep being me and deliver that future. How do I transform myself to be a human being that would deliver that future? Now that takes guts. And their answer to that was, I need to get committed to this. I need to lead, and as employees, we each need to lead. We need to wait for somebody to do it, and we need to be innovative not like Webster. Like, what haven't we done that we need to think about doing that's new, not a recombination of the old? And inside of that, they got really committed to, and they did things in reality. Employees innovated. I have no idea what portable, creeling is. Ray Anderson does. But they did something with portable creeling and reduced by 54% their yarn usage. Their leaders' adoption of the first photovoltaic modules for energy generation. Feedback on current energy consumption, 43% energy reduction. In other words, they made Interface one big Prius. Okay, on the dashboard it tells you how fast you're going, how much energy, 6 liters per 100 kilometers. They basically created dashboards around their company. No technology involved. Simply a behavioral shift. Now that you could see your impact on the world, you cut it out. All right, and the last thing they did, they were ruthless about measuring and publicly sharing what they accomplished. And here's where they're at now. 30% renewable energy usage in all their plants worldwide now. Right, like zero impact. 30%, the world's largest floor covering manufacturer. All right? Okay, back to you and I. You and I are game changers. We just like to pretend we're not and wait for somebody else to do it. Okay, trust me, you're a game changer. You showed up, your mom and dad went, what the heck do we do now? You changed the game for at least 2 people, okay, and then you just forgot that's who you are. So we need to kind of get back to that, right? There's nobody that's going to help out here. There's no cavalry coming. Our thinking needs to shift. Okay, we need to think about what it is that you and I need to let go of. Okay, don't worry. They're busy doing what they're doing. You and I have the opportunity to let go of something. It ain't going to happen unless you and I let go of something. Trust me, any revolution, transformation happened with a small number of people. No organization, government went, I think we need to change the way we do business. Somebody had to smack him with a 2x4. That would be you. Right? And that would be you doing something that's not related to the past and being a demonstration of the change you want to be. All right, no matter how much you try not to fall, which I'm saying you and I are doing to some degree, yet wanting that future, you and I will never catch an organization, a company, a jurisdiction, a country, a person that's actually trying to fall. And jurisdictionally, Canada will lose its competitive advantage if we have any anymore in the world of energy. All right, create the future that wants to happen. Give yourself a different kind of problem, a problem worthy of your life. Okay, so one way to say it is create a problem worthy of your life, not something to complain about, right? In other words, walk.